Anyone who's watched a horror movie knows one thing. The characters make horrible decisions, but if they made good decisions, odds are we would not have the movie. So here are some horrible decisions made by characters in horror movies, and I hope it goes without warning that there are spoilers ahead. Number 10. Jeepers. Creepers, checking the pipe after practically being chased by a terrifying lunatic truck driver in the middle of literal nowhere. Go Around Me. Our main protagonists, Dar and Trish, spot the shady, sinister-looking character who was driving the truck, depositing what looks like a rolled-up corpse into a pipe at the side. Of the road hell is that the shady-looking character then quite obviously stares down the two as they drive by, knowing that they witnessed what he had just done. Having to now dispose of the witnesses, the truck driver emerges once again, ramming Derry's car off the road before continuing on down the road. Now, a normal person would just get out of there and report the incident to the first cop they encounter. However, this wouldn't be a horror movie without a horrible idea. Derry decides to go back and check out what was dumped inside the pipe instead of getting to the nearest phone and calling the police. He ends up falling inside the pipe after getting scared by a couple of rats and ultimately becomes the creeper easy. Next, target number 9. Drag Me to Hell. Not checking the envelope, at the end of Drag Me to Hell, after Christine had seemingly gotten rid of the cursed button that would send her to hell, Clay, her boyfriend, pulls out a familiar envelope, containing none other than the cursed button. It turned out she had mistakenly gotten rid of Clay. His envelope containing a quarter, instead of the one containing the button. Had Christine simply made the right decision and checked the contents of the envelope first, she would have been freed from the eternal curse number. 8. The ending of I Am Legend. At the end of I Am Legend, Robert Neville decides to sacrifice himself by putting the antidote into Anna's hand and putting her and her son into a reinforced coal shed before pulling the pin off. A grenade, and blowing himself up along with the rampaging Dark Seekers. What he could have done differently, though, was just lob the grenade at them and get into the shift, since it can obviously fit another person, and it would only take 2 steps for Robert to get inside. Number 7. Helen's death. I know what you did that summer, while on the run for her life. From a crazed hook welding killer, Helen finds herself only a few feet away from freedom, where a marching band and onlookers are seen walking by. But Helen is pointless and foolish decision to turn around and look behind her at the last possible moment instead of running into the crowd of people is nothing short of moronic, and thus it leads to a death that could have been easily avoided. Number 6. The Hand Trap, Saw 2. Addison. His death is one of the most easily avoided in the entire Saw series. Inside of a glass box with 2 holes in it is an antidote. If Addison were to walk to the other side of the box, she would have seen a lock with a key sticking out of it, which in turn would have unlocked the box and allowed her to access the antidote without harm. However, she makes the rash decision to put both of her hands inside of the holes, getting her "You're caught" in the blades fitted in the holes. Number 5. Not closing the beach and Jaws after hearing the news of a giant great white shark on the loose near the shore. Mayor Vaugh refuses to close the local beach and safeguard his citizens. Look, we depend on the summer people here for our very lives. You not going those, we're not only going to have to close the beach, we're going to have to hire somebody to kill the shark. I mean, we're going to have to tell the Coast Guard deciding tourism income is more important than the actual safety of those tourists. Marin soon learns of the consequences for his greedy mistake. Number 4. The Purge, letting somebody into the house and leaving the safe room. There were so many horrible decisions made in this movie that it would be hard not to include more than one. Firstly, one of, if not the biggest one, was when the son Charlie decided to disarm the house security system to allow a stranger into his home on the night of the Purge, when any stranger can rob you, hurt you, or kill you and your entire family and get away with it. Not to mention, this man is also being chased by purges. Somebody, please, just open the door. For me, they're coming. They're coming. Kidding somebody, please. They're going to kill me. What the hell this idiotic decision is. Of course, what led to everything afterward in the movie, including the death of Charlie's own father. Another ridiculous decision in the movie was the choice of the entire family to leave the safe room while their house is under attack when a load of maniacs are set to break into your house begging for blood, and you have a perfectly good safe room and a bunch of guns at hand. Surely, it makes sense to hold up there and blast away whoever so much as breathes near the door, but that would be too logical for a horror movie. So the family splits up, making themselves easier to pick off one by one. Number 3, Halloween Resurrection. Trying to unmask Michael Myers in the beginning of the 8th installment of the franchise, Laurie Strode finally captures Michael as she gets ready to cut the rope that he's dangling on and end her nightmare forever. She decides to unmask him and see if it's really her brother. She fails to realize that even though he's hanging upside down, his hands are still free. Number 2, Scream Tatum's death. When the Ghostface killer traps Tatum in the garage, she actually manages to put up a good fight for a bit, getting the killer on the ground several times. However, instead of kicking the killer while he's down or looking for something to use as a weapon in the garage, she decides to crawl out a pet door, which is clearly too small for her to fit into, and Number 1 saw the foot amputation after being unable to reach the phone with his arm. Dr. Gordon decided his only choice was to sever his foot, or he could have used the saw to grab at A.